people were aware that last week, if you watch the news, that a what they called a superstorm, was it a typhoon?
Typhoon is what they refer to it. We would probably call it a hurricane.
A hurricane.
Yeah.
A typhoon was headed towards the Philippine Islands.
Correct.
And, okay, what happened?
It arrived on Friday. We were amazed in the newsroom that the initial reports coming out of there were only 4 dead. And we just said that can't happen when you've got winds of 170 miles an hour.
Sustained.
Sustained. You've got the Philippines, a stretch of thousands of islands. They're surrounded by water on all sides. You've got a storm like this, a lot of fairly low-lying areas, and they were hit hard. In particular, the dateline where the worst damage is from is a place called Tacloban in the Philippines. And I heard one person describe it this morning, and if you've seen the pictures, One News Now, we have some pictures. It looks like an aerial shot of a garbage dump, and total devastation. We're talking about huge ocean-going ships, freighters, tossed up on the beaches. That's what kind of devastation. Now, what you've been hearing this morning is that there could be up to as many as 10,000 people dead in this. There's no official count yet because there's no way to ascertain at this point how many people drowned in this. There are bodies that are washing up on shore, and I'm sorry to give the details in that kind of way, but that's the way it is there. But, this being Veterans Day, on the positive side of all of this is the world is coming to help. And one of the first people on the beaches were U.S. Marines. They arrived yesterday with some basic food and water and medicines, and they are going to be there. We just happened to have an interview this morning scheduled with Franklin Graham of Samaritan's Purse, and he told us that there are Samaritan's Purse people on the ground already. Later this week, they'll be sending a 747 there with shelter materials, that kind of thing. And Southern Baptists are going to be involved in others. So the world is going to come and help. But right now, that place just needs our prayers. It is total devastation.
When you're talking about this city of Tacloban, and they're afraid that just in that city it's alone, 10,000 people.
Yes.
Dead. And they had huge storm surges, and my understanding is even in places that had multiple floors, buildings that had multiple floors, people were seeking shelter there, and of course the water was up so high. And like you said, the photos where there are buildings, high rises, you look around and it looks. Everything else is leveled.
Yeah,
I mean, there's nothing standing. So
the one good
trail
thing
of
perhaps
destruction
was that unlike the tsunami of 2004 in the Indian Ocean that hit parts of Indonesia, India very hard, 230,000 people died in that.
Right.
There was some warning in this. In 3 or 4 days ahead of time, they were warned. So there was a certain degree of evacuations, which didn't occur in 2004 because it was tsunami. So we keep hoping for the best, but I think the final count is going to be horrific.
Before you go, Fred, here, the thing that separates what happened in the Philippines from maybe happening somewhere else is that the Philippines are a large number of islands.
7,000 islands.
Okay, 7,000 islands. So, it isn't like you have something where, like, say, Katrina, for example, that hits the Mississippi and Louisiana Gulf Coast. Well, you can concentrate your efforts on one particular area,
And people can go inland to get away.
And you can drive there.
Yeah.
In this situation, you have all these islands, so you have, you have to have boats that can go from one island to the next, or you have to have, airdrops or airlifts, and so it's just mind-boggling the logistics that'll have to be worked out here just to bring relief.
Yes.
To these folks in a timely fashion. Well, Fred, sorry you had to report that news, but that is, it may have been the strongest storm in recorded history in terms of a typhoon or a hurricane, correct?
Herds of a typhoon, yeah, in that area.
I mean, Ed, you said you read reports of over 200-mile-an-hour winds.
Well, they were expecting gusts up to over 200.
Yeah. All right, thank you, Fred. Appreciate it. You're listening to the radio program Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network, and pray for our